Welcome back to the Age of Asparagus. Thank you for joining us again. We have a problem that we need to deal with, and that is how our blending is not affecting the layers underneath. For example, on my Foothills 3 layer, the closest darkest Foothills layer, with my smudge brush, I cannot blend with the waterline here. I can try, but it has no effect. This is not a problem that Bob Ross has, because Bob Ross has a single layer, and when he blends his paint with his magic white underneath, it all blends beautifully. Now, we've been adding different layers to make it easy for us to move them around and change things and make minor tweaks to make our painting look better. But there are times when we want to be able to blend just like Bobby does. The first time this came up, I didn't mention it, but it was on our cloud in front, the cloud that shrouds our mountain. So I'm going to turn off the visibility of these layers so that we're back to the cloud in front of our mountain. I'm going to select that layer, cloud in front. Let's fix this for once. And with my blending brush, I'm going to blend the blue up into the cloud. So that's not happening. That's because there is no blue on this cloud in front layer, and that becomes obvious when we remove all the other layers. This layer just has white. So if I try to blend on this layer, it's going to be blending transparent pixels, nothing, with white. And so it'll slowly become transparent, or I can blend white down into the transparent pixels. But it's not going to pick up, and it's not going to recognize any other colors on any other layer. We need to change that. Let me get my original layer back with some Control Z, and I'm going to bring the layers visible again up to the cloud in front. Control Z, make sure I have it all back. Now, I actually want to blend that blue with the cloud. We can do that by going to our brush engine, and with our 2-inch blender, I'm going to turn on overlay mode. This will paint on the current layer, but use all layers that are currently visible for smudge input, this being a color smudge brush. So now, can I blend that blue in? I can. Now, this section here isn't set up very well for smudging, because when this occurred, we just carried on. And most of this is going to be covered by foliage in our foreground, so I'm not going to worry about that much now. But let's go back and take a look at our foothills. I'm going to turn on all of our foothills. The issue we have is right here. And depending on how far down you smudged your foothills, you may also have issues with the bottom of this foothill layer, for example here, not blending very well with the next foothill layer. And we can show that if I hit T, and I need to select Foothills 3 now, and now I can move it, and if I move up like this, you can see here the foothills layer underneath is not going to be blended with the layer in front. And if I tried to blend it, it wouldn't work. Hit B to get back to our brush. I can't blend the other layer. Because I've switched brushes around, this setting, overlay mode, is not saved. I can turn it on and I can use it, but when I switch brushes and then go back to my blending brush will go back to my defaults, how I want them. And I'll show you how to save that in a future video. Okay, let's get back to this problem here. There's a few things we can do. One thing we can do is, once we have these layers where we want them and we don't think we're going to move them anymore, we can merge them all together. That would put them all on the same layer, and it would also allow us to blend them together if there's anywhere that needs blending. Really though, that's not much different than just turning on overlay mode and then blending as we need. But it could get confusing because once I've blended in overlay mode, for example, if I want to blend in this line, I've turned on overlay mode with my color smudge brush there, and now I can blend that away. However, if I later want to go move my layer, it's going to be a little bit confusing because with overlay mode on, it's picking up colors from other layers. So moving our layers will become much less useful. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to Control Z that. You know what? I kind of like that it blended like that. So I'm going to leave it. I'm also going to merge these three layers together. I can do that by right-clicking them and merge with layer below. So now Foothills 3 will be merged with Foothills 2, and I'm going to merge with the layer below again. And so now I have all the foothill layers together. Another way to do this would be to group the layers, and you could move them as a group, and I'll show you how to do that in a future video. Okay, let's create some reflections. I'm going to choose my Foothills brush and make sure I'm on the brush tool with the B key. I'm going to move up here and zoom in a little bit. And I need to get my color back. I want the color of my foreground layer. Now, I mentioned here I've got my color history around here. I don't know what green this is, so that's not going to be too helpful. So how can I get this color again? I actually remember how to get it because we mixed it pretty specifically. If you haven't restarted Krita yet, then you'll still have your selectors in the proper spots. I had a mountain mixture. I mixed it with about 50% sap green and then just less than 50% Prussian blue. And then we went one lighter for this one. We went one darker for this one, which would be the same as this color. And then I hit K to get one darker. And so this should be the same color, at least very close, and that would work. However, what if you restarted Krita, you didn't have the exact mix, you forgot what mix to use for this? How can you get this color back? So we can use the color picker, which you can do with the P key to switch, or even better, you can hold down Control and you'll get a color picker, and when you let go, you'll go back to the brush tool. That's pretty cool. So I can hold down Control, and as I drag around my painting, I'm going to be picking up all those colors, and I can figure out which color I want. And you can see the foreground color on that big band here in our digital colors mixer flashing around. So I want this color, but look at the color mixer as I flash around here, because this layer is blended and it's partially transparent. It's seeing some of the layer below. If I pick it down here, it'll be bluer because it'll be picking up some of the color from the ocean. If I pick it up here, it'll be lighter, or it'll be flashing because of the holes in it. When we painted this layer, we painted only with a single color. Although it has various levels of transparency because of the blending, it is only a single color. So how do we just pick just from this layer and not with what's blended with it below? We can do that from the color picker's tool options. So let's hit P to get the actual color picker tool, or you can click the eyedropper there. And now from a tab, which we haven't looked at yet, and I'll look at more in the future, is this Tool Options tab, this Tool Options Docker. And it has an option here, Sample All Visible Layers. Instead, I want to sample the current layer. Now, obviously, it will only pick from the current layer. But be careful, you remember how we just blended in this area with the layer below, so it actually does have some blue on that layer. So we want to come over here where all we used was this green, and you'll see how much more steady it is, at least. We're not going to get any blue over here. We're just going to get our green color. So let's just pick a green color from over here, which is going to be pretty much the color we're looking for. So just remember that if you leave this on the current layer, that's where it's going to select when you use the color picker. So you choose whichever one you want. I'm going to turn it back for now. I have my color, and I'm going to hit B to switch back to the brush tool. In my layers, I'm going to make sure I'm on my foothills layer. Okay, let's do this. I have a color, but first I'm going to take my blending brush and I'm going to blend up a bit so I can recover some of our ocean. Now, right now, because I've been switching around brushes, my overlay mode is off, which is fine. This will probably work fine with overlay mode on as well. And Now, switching back to our brush, I'm going to create some strokes down, kind of matching our tree line there a little bit. And go back to the blending brush, and we're going to blend this slightly. So these are going to be our reflections in the water. Be careful not to blend it too much, and don't underblend it either. We want to lose some of the detail in the reflections. And like Bobby, you can gently blend left and right as well. I am going to blend this section better. Okay, now we want to create our water line and a few little ripples. So we already have a palette knife, which is perfect for that. It's at the wrong angle though. And we're going to be actually using these little ripple lines quite a bit. So let's just create a brush for it. We can use the same brush. The only thing I want to do is I want it to be flat. Just like that. Perfect. Otherwise we'll have to tie a bucket to the side of our painting. Right, Bobby? And let's pull that back up. To create this icon, let's just create some horizontal lines here. There we go. We'll save that. Save to presets. We got BR palette knife. We're going to call this water. So our water horizontal palette knife. We're going to close this. Let's go to our preset brushes. You can filter it if you need to find it. BR. We're looking for the BR palette knife water. I'm going to add the tag to it. Right click, assign a tag, Bob Ross. Should show up now. There we are. Got some water reflection lines. And the palette knife's forced horizontal here, which is awesome. So we can just choose a transition line and add in, very gently, add in this line here. This is pretty cool looking effect. It works really well. And we're going to add it all the way along here, where our reflections start, and then you can start bringing some of them out here, just like Bobby does, as ripples out into the water. That is pretty cool. I dragged one along here. I'm going to undo that. Control Z. That one I didn't like. That one I dragged forward like that, which I don't want to do. We want to keep our strokes horizontal for the most part. There we go. And we got ourselves some ripples. Thanks again for joining us. Hope you come back next time, where we are going to study
Total and absolute power!
as instructed by Bob Ross.